Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we are talking about the finish of the Ludwig x Tarik Invitational. Oxygen Esports have won this tournament. They win against Moist x Shopify in the grand finals. At first it seemed like Moist x Shopify had Oxygen Esports in the palm of their hand, but Oxygen was able to recover, and this might be the start of what is going to be a very good rivalry in Tier 2 in the 2024 season. So looking at the whole bracket here, we have some surprising results, and I think the main point of discussion is that all the Tier 2 teams performed very well during this tournament. At the start of the tournament, we had Cloud9 get 2-0'd by Moist x Shopify, and then 100 Thieves get 2-0'd by Oxygen. So both Tier 2 teams looking very good early on in this tournament. Moist x Shopify being Ludwig's team, so definitely wanting to prove themselves and show to, their boss that they can be a very dominant team. And I do think that they played very well during this tournament. Fortunately, Oxygen just played better. In the lower bracket, we had the Tier 1 teams face it off, and Cloud9 ended up taking that one 2-1. And then in the lower final, which was the first match of today, Oxygen 2-0'd Cloud9 yet again. Moist x Shopify took them down 2-1 in the upper final before that match, so sent Oxygen down. They 2-0'd Cloud9. So they beat every single team in the tournament. In the grand finals, Moist x Shopify were able to take the first map, but Oxygen did recover and performed very well against them in the last two maps, beating them 13-3 on the last map. So very dominant performance by Oxygen there, proving that they might be the team to watch in Tier 2 this year. When I look at the Oxygen roster, it doesn't look like a team on paper that is going to be super good, but then when you see them play, they play as a cohesive unit. They have really good chemistry together. So it's one of those situations where on paper, it might not look the best. At least to me, you might have a differing opinion. There are some solid players on there, Dapper and Verno being two of them. But to me, it is just surprising that they were able to handle the teams that they handled in this tournament the way that they did, especially 2-0ing both of the Tier 1 teams. That's very impressive work by them. And that's kind of the thing about Tier 2 versus Tier 1 is that the amount of skill or the skill gap between Tier 1 and Tier 2, it's really close because we have a lot of players that would be able to play in Tier 1, but unfortunately because of the lack of, amount of teams able to house these players in Tier 1, we're not going to see a lot of these players that absolutely could dominate in Tier 1, not able to do that and have to settle for Tier 2. So that's kind of the issue with Riot's system right now, unfortunately, with the format of the VCT. But that does also mean that Tier 2 is very good competition, and Moist x Shopify is absolutely going to be looking to beat Oxygen at any opportunity that they're given, because now they've been losing to them quite a bit. In the 5 matches that these two teams have played together against, Oxygen has been able to take 4 of them. So Moist x Shopify, there's not a lot of orgs in Tier 2 this year, so we'll see a lot of teams coming in that don't have orgs, at least at the start. They'll go through the open qualifier, so that should make it easier for teams like Moist x Shopify to ascend, but unfortunately you're going to run into teams like Oxygen. So this is going to be quite the battle for the ascension in the Americas. And just giving a shout out to 2 players, I thought Verno, probably the MVP of the entire tournament. His VLR rating for the entire tournament was 1.34, very impressive. That is the best out of any player. And I figured I'd shout out Mata, who had a VLR rating of 1.09, showing that he is a very, very solid duelist player. He made some very impressive plays, and he was probably Moist x Shopify's best player, at least in my opinion. So again, it is interesting how we saw the Tier 2 teams do as well as they did, and it's just going to be an absolute battle to see who ascends in the Americas. It's going to be very interesting, and this is a great way to showcase it before the season starts. Anyways, thank you guys very much for watching. Click like if you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought of the Ludwig x Tarik Invitational 2. Do you think Oxygen is going to ascend? Do you think Moist x Shopify will get the revenge that they'll definitely be looking to? Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.